Hi and welcome back to my channel. You guys, I'm super excited about this week's coaching video because today I'm going to be sharing with you 10 things that we fear most in our lives. And some people will say, well, Michelle, I'm not afraid of anything. I used to think that too, but at the end of the day, I am afraid of some things. I am afraid of failing. And a lot of people are. Even if you say you aren't, yes, you are, because we none of us want to fail. I'm afraid of spiders. I'm afraid of snakes, anything that's creepy and crawly. And yes, and y'all don't judge me, and I mean it, don't judge me. I am afraid of clowns. And I was fine until I saw the movie It, and that just changed my whole perspective of clowns, and I just truly don't like them. And so, yeah, that's my fear. And some of y'all are afraid of clowns too. Don't act like you're not. So anyway, I have this quote I want to share with you by Eleanor Roosevelt, and it simply says this: "You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You are able to say to yourself, I have lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along. You must," did you hear what I said? You must do the things that you think you cannot do. There are so many things in this world that we think we cannot do, and that fear keeps us from doing it. But I want to tell you, you have got to do those things that you think you cannot do. I have to do the things that I think I can't do. And I'm going to be honest with you, when I first started doing YouTube videos, well, even before I started, I kept saying, oh God, I can't do this. I'm looking at all these channels, and I'm watching people doing their videos. They have so much personality, and I'm thinking, I can't do that. And so fear kept me from getting started. And one day I said, you know what, Michelle, the devil is a lie. You are going to start doing your YouTube channel, and you're just going to have to get past the fear of doing it. And so now it's like an old hat. But we do have to look fear in the face and do the things that we think we cannot do. And I think of the late, great Bishop Eddie Long. And I remember I was listening to one of his sermons, and he talked about, he said, you notice how sometimes in your dreams, and I've had this, it's been a while, but I've had this before, where I'll have a dream, and during the course of this dream, I'm just running, and I'm running, and I'm running, and I'm running, and I have no idea what I'm running from. I really don't, because I've never stopped to look around to see what's chasing me. And I remember he said, the next time you have that dream and you're just running, he said, I want you to stop running. He said, I want you to stop running, and I want you to turn around and face whatever it is that's chasing you. And that just made me think, and I thought, Lord, how in the world does he know what I dream about? But like I said, I've had it many, many, many times, more times than I can even count. But when I wake up, I can never tell you what was chasing me because I've never stopped to turn around and look. So, knock on wood, I've not had that dream in a while, but if I should happen to have that dream again, I promise you, I am going to stop. I'm going to turn around and face whatever it is that's chasing me. So we would all like to think that we could soar through life carefree, but the reality is we are all scared of something. We are all scared of something. We're human, and with that comes having fears, something no one wants to admit to. We like to put up a front and pretend we're immune to these kinds of feelings. These fears aren't just the fear of spiders or heights, it's the full-blown lifelong fears. Although a lot of us like to push these thoughts to the side and hide them in the back of our head, it's time to face the music. So here are 10 fears that we're all afraid to admit to, and possibly even scarier fears we're going to have to face eventually. So, number 1, the unknown. The unknown is one of many people's fears because it has an element known as loss of control. So when we don't have control of things, we tend to panic, right? Most people like to think that they have a handle on their lives, and to some extent we do. We can pick our careers. We can pick out what we eat on a day-to-day basis. We can pick the friends we choose to associate with. We can pick the crowds that we want to hang out with. You can, for most people, pick the car that you want to drive. But when it comes to big life events that will happen in the future, we really don't know. The unknown can be just as exciting as it is fearful. Just let life happen and take it one day at a time. So there's no reason to stress. Life is going to happen to you. It's going to happen to me. Just take it one day at a time and, just run with it. But that fear of the unknown, I've been down that road before, and it's not a bad thing. But I will say, don't let it run your life. Don't let it have you to the point where you're just afraid to do everything. Like you don't do anything because you're just absolutely afraid. There is going to come a time in our lives where we're going to have that unknown loss of control period, and we just have to, if you believe in a higher power, you've got to pray to whatever that higher power is that you believe in. For me, it's God. And I say, Lord, I know you're going to work it out, that you already know what the end is going to be, so I'm not going to worry about it. Number 2, loss of oneself. Who we are and how we define ourselves is a major component in our personality. We're scared to lose who we think we are because then that falls into the category of the unknown. If we don't know who we are, then how do we know anyone else? And talking about loss of oneself, I can admit that there was a time that I was in a relationship and I lost myself. But I didn't realize that I had lost myself until after that relationship ended. And I realized the things that I liked doing prior to meeting this person, I wasn't doing. I wasn't hanging out with my girlfriends. I wasn't doing a lot of the things that I had always loved doing, but I found that, I had lost myself so much that I was doing everything that he wanted to do with his kids and very little, if any, of the stuff that I wanted to do. And so after that, I said, Michelle, never again. Never again will you lose yourself. You can be in a relationship, but you've got to always know who you are. You've got to always know what it is that you want to do and what you want out of life. Never get so caught up in anybody that you lose yourself. Number 3, separation. No one wants to lose someone that they care for deeply. Separation does not only apply to people. See, many people feel anxious when they move to a new home or to a new location. They're leaving behind what they know and setting themselves up for something that's unknown. Anytime you leave one job to go to another one, you may say, oh, well, guess what? I'm going to be making a whole lot more money. But the reality is there's that whole unknown piece there because you don't know the people, you don't know the culture, and you don't even know if you're going to like the job. You're just concentrating on the money. But that fear of the unknown kind of seeps in because you just don't know. Now, me personally, if I were to leave my job, and I love my coworkers, I really do. We have a great working environment. I work with some wonderful people that we always try to have each other's back to help out when we can. But if I were to leave my job and take another job, there would be a little fear of the unknown, but because I am who I am, I'm one of these people, I never fall into cliques. Whenever I've started a new job, I come in and I do me. I don't have to be a part of the clique. So I don't worry about, oh my God, will they like me? I don't care because at the end of the day, I'm there to collect a paycheck every 2 weeks. Other than that, you don't have to like me and I don't have to like you. But you will respect me because I'm going to respect you to the extent that I can. So that's that separation thing, Oh, and before I move on, I wanted to say this. It's also like when you have children and the older they get, that bond that you all used to be like this, but the older that your kids get, that bond starts to loosen up and it gets a little looser, a little looser, a little looser. And before you know it, you're here and your kids are way over here. You love them, they love you, but that there's a little separation because, they're coming into their own and we got that. They don't want to hang around us older folk. And so that separation can be scary because I know I went through it. When I first realized my child was gravitating more towards her friends and, she wasn't tagging behind me as much, it hurt my feelings. It really did. And I can honestly say I did sit and cry quite a few times because I was like, no, Jesus, this little person is always around me. I could barely even go to the bathroom without her wanting to come in and sit on the edge of the tub and talk. And I'm like, no, I need to concentrate. This is not one of them times where I can just chit chat, but bless her heart, she wanted to come in. and we were just always together. But that separation that comes about, the older our children get, it can be hard to deal with sometimes. Number 4, pain. We all know about pain. All we know about pain is that it hurts. Levels of pain vary from situation to situation, but in any circumstance, we want to know how bad. This is another fear that has to do with being in control. Humans believe that if they know what is in store, they can better prepare themselves, right? The problem with pain is that it often comes unannounced, making it a fear that many of us face. So, as I said that, I thought back to a time when I had an impacted wisdom tooth pulled back here on the left side of my face. And I remember when I went to talk to Dr. Jackson about it, and he was telling me what all he had to do. And because I have a small mouth, he was going to have to cut away some of the bone to get to the tooth. And when he said that, I said, whoa, stop, stop, stop. How much is it going to cost for you to put me to sleep? He told me, I said, okay, we'll add it to the bill, because I don't want to be awake for that, because I don't do pain very well at all. And that just sounded very painful. After the fact, it was. And so I said, nope, just put me to sleep. And but as and so I said, well, how soon can I do this? Because I was anxious and I wanted to just get it over with. So he said, all right, I got to open it next week. And I think it was like a Friday. It was a Friday. And so I said, okay, well, put me down for that. And so I went that day, and he gave me the anesthesia. And as it was starting to, you get that kind of a foggy feeling before you actually doze off. And I remember thinking, that fear, I don't know where it came from, but that fear just set in just like that. And I didn't want to do it. And I was trying to tell him I was changing my mind. I kept saying, please don't do this. I changed my mind. I just want to go home. And I was saying it in my mind because it never came out of my mouth. And he's just talking, his back is turned, he's getting his instruments together and all that stuff, and he's just telling me what to expect and da da da. And I remember when he turned back around to face me, and I'm still screaming, I don't want to do this. I just want to go home. And the tears were just rolling down my face. And he turned around and he looked and he goes, oh no, you're crying. And I remember he reached over and he wiped the tears from my eyes. And then just like that, I was gone to sleep. Now I told my dentist, Dr. Caldwell, because we're deacons at my church. I said, Robert, look, you come check on me now, because I don't know this man like this putting me to sleep. And he said, I will. And he did. And Dr. Jackson told me, he said, Dr. Caldwell came and checked on you several times. I said, okay, good. But the thing is that fear set in because I think it was the fear of the pain, that even though I was going to be asleep, that pain was going to be there waiting for me when I woke up, and it was. And so that fear of the pain is what had me just, y'all, when I tell you that the tears were falling, oh, they were falling. I'm so glad I didn't have my mascara that day. But I said all that to say this, that pain is real. And when we don't know how much pain is going to happen or is going to come our way, we do start to get afraid. Number 5, rejection. As we grow older, we face more and more rejection, whether it be on a date or a declined offer from the dream job that you were hoping for. Rejection is in our fate. It's in my fate. It's in your fate. But don't worry, because with age comes wisdom and maturity. While rejection becomes more prominent, our way of dealing with it becomes better. We learn to take every no with a grain of salt. So out of the fears, this one can be controlled by how we react to it. And we all have been rejected from something or someone in our lifetime. And just like I said, with age comes wisdom and maturity. So at this point in my life, honey, if I'm rejected from something, I understand. I understand that it's because God has something bigger and better for me. And I have seen it over the years where I wanted something so bad. I wanted it as bad as I wanted to take my next breath. And I said, Lord, why? You knew I really wanted that thing. And then over time, God said, see, I didn't give you that because I had something better for you. And if I had given you that, I couldn't have given you this, because your hand would, I talked about this before, my hand would have been closed around the thing that I thought I wanted when he had something over here. But I couldn't receive it because my hands are closed here, and he needed my hands to be open to receive it over there. Number 6, humiliation. No sane person wants to be laughed at or be the target of a joke. Humiliation is a huge fear for many and usually comes in the form of public speaking. Many people get very anxious about talking in front of an audience. All eyes are on them, and if anything goes wrong, there's one specific target. That's you, and that's me. The best way to face humiliation is practice being confident. Basically, fake it till you make it. I shared with you all a few weeks ago that I accepted the title as president of our newly formed Toastmasters Club at work. And I won't lie, fear set in, nervousness set in, all of that stuff set in. And that little voice was like, Michelle, girl, what are you doing? What are you doing? You have never done this before. I've never done Toastmasters in my life. And then that little voice said, no, but you can do this. You can do this. You are made for this. You've been cut out and set aside, set apart for a time such as this. You can do this. And so I had to talk away that fear to say, you know what, I can do this. But as I talked about this humiliation piece, and it comes in the form of public speaking, although the people in this club are, some of them I work closely with, some and many of them I don't, but I know who they are because I see them in the building or in the cafeteria. And so you will have to get over that fear of speaking in front of these people because they know me on a work level. But I think once you get into doing speeches and you're talking in front of a room full of people, you know, you're now on a whole nother level, and they get to see you for you, not the work you. So that's something to think about. Number 7, disappointment. Disappointment comes in 2 forms: disappointment of yourself and disappointment of others. We don't want to let down others, much less ourselves. We put tremendous pressure on trying to please everyone. But the reality is you can't. And I had to learn that the hard way. I can't please everybody. I really can't. I tried, or I have tried over the years, but I just cannot please everybody. Prioritizing is the best way to deal with the fear of disappointment. Allow yourself to breathe and realize some things must come first over others. You might succeed in certain things but fail in others. Y'all excuse me, my face is itching. It's okay. You're only human. So y'all understand that it's okay if you fail or disappoint or let down other people, because it's a part of life. And guess what? The people that you feel like you disappointed, they've disappointed other people as well. It's a part of life. Number 8, failure. Speaking of failure, a lot of us are afraid to be bad at something. I know I am. We all would like to be the best at everything we do, but that's just not in the cards. It's not in the cards for you, and it's not in the cards for me. Some of us are good at math, and others are good at writing. Math is not my thing, but writing is. We need this variability in strengths and weaknesses so society can function. It's like yin and yang, a perfect balance. Allow yourself to put your best efforts forward, but to also be okay if they don't pay off. Failure is actually one of the biggest components to self-growth. So instead of feeling failure, let it be a sign that there is something more to work on. If we are good at everything, what would be the point? There are some things that I'm not good at, and there's some things that you're not good at. But guess what? If I fail at it, I can go back and look at that and say, okay, well, you know what, Michelle, it didn't work out, but let's look at this. Let's see what we can do differently. It's just like with powerlifting. My first meet, I went 9 for 9. I think I told y'all about this, but I went 9 for 9. I had all 9 attempts on my squat, bench, and deadlift. Boy, I was excited. My next week, guess what? I didn't do so well. I was 7 out of 9. So I had missed the last attempt. I believe it was on my deadlift and my bench. And I was devastated. You know why? Because I had went 9 for 9 the previous meet. But I understood that my failing was okay, because then my coach and I could go back and to the drawing board and look at it, and he could say, okay, you didn't get that deadlift because of this. You didn't get that last bench because of that. And so this is how we're going to fix it. So we would take a week off, sometimes 2, but mostly just a week. Come back in the lab, which is the gym. I like to call it the lab because that's where I'm cooking up some stuff. And we get back in the gym, and guess what? He can say, all right, now this is what I need you to do. I need you to set up this way, or we're going to take the weight down to this, and I want you to give me X number of reps for X number of sets. You see what I'm saying? So disappointment is not a bad thing. Failure is not a bad thing, because you can look at your failure and figure out how to fix it. And because I have an awesome powerlifting coach who's also a good friend, he can look, even now I can see, because he moved a little ways down the road, he's still my coach, and so I can take a video of my training session and I can send it to him, and I can say, okay, well, you know what, this didn't work out quite the way I wanted to, and he'll look at the video and he'll say, yeah, he said, what I need you to do next time is do more of this, less of that, or maybe it's something completely different. So failure is not a bad thing. Number 9, death. A lot of people are scared of death because of the unknown. Nobody knows what happens to us when we die. I don't know, you don't know. A religious standpoint says that our soul goes up to heaven, and from a scientific standpoint, we go straight into the ground and we decompose. And I like to believe that, you know, your soul will go up to heaven and all that other good stuff. Now, what you believe might be different, and that's okay. The point here is that death is something that most of us fear. A lot of people, and I take my hat off to people when I see them say or hear them say things like, you know, especially when they're really sick and they're tired of battling whatever it is that they've been battling, and they'll say, you know what, I'm just tired. I can't do this anymore. I'm just ready to go. I'm okay. You know, and they'll tell their families that they love them, and they'll meet them on the other side, and they'll say, I'm okay though, but I'm just tired. I don't want to do this anymore. And that's a powerful thing, to be able to get to that point where you can say that. But not everybody can say that, because I'll be honest with you, I am afraid of death. I really am. And I think the reason why we tend to be afraid of death is because we don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know how it's going to happen. And I think for me, the biggest part is the how. Some people die tragic deaths. Some people just die peacefully in their sleep. You don't know. I don't know. Unless you've been, you know, deathly ill, of course, and you have cancer or something like that, and you know that that's what's killing you. But other than that, the majority of us don't know. And so that's why that fear seeps in when it comes to death. And it's a natural thing. Number 10, last but certainly not least, falling in love. It's not that love is something to be scared of, but it can change you. It can make you happy. It can make you incredibly sad. It can make you a whole range of emotions. You are entrusting in someone else and building a deep foundation of intimacy. That is a very scary thing. Love is powerful and unpredictable. It includes all of the fears above: the unknown, loss of oneself to the other person, the possibility of separation, heartbreak and pain, rejection, humiliation, disappointment, failure, and sometimes even death. But love isn't something you should fear, regardless of it encompassing so many other fears. See, love can be the best experience that you will ever have if you allow yourself to face it head on. All I'm saying is, too much fear in any circumstance can take away from the experience. Let me say that one more time. Too much fear in any circumstance can take away from the experience. Let yourself live and don't be caught up in your fears. When we fear, we pull back in life. So when we fear, we pull back in life, meaning we don't give it our all because of the fear. Don't. Let yourself move forward. So, and I'm going to tell you something. I've been down that road about that whole fall in love thing. Honey, that can be a scary thing. And so for a long time, there was a barrier. There was a barrier that I kept in front of me, about right here. It used to be at arm's length, but then I kind of brought it back just a little bit closer, and I kept that barrier up. So anytime I would date someone, if they got close to this barrier right here, oh, it was a wrap. We got to move on. You know, you have to move on, because this is too much. I didn't want you coming into my personal space. And that's just because of that whole fear of falling in love, because love can be painful. I'm pretty sure everybody has gone through a point in their life where you fell in love with someone and they just hurt you to the core of your being, and you said, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. So for a long time I chose not to. And it's not fair, and I would just cut you off, honey, at the drop of a dime. I wouldn't return your phone calls, and eventually you get it and stop calling me. Now, was that the right thing to do? No, because I really did owe them an explanation, but my mind at that time told me, no, I don't owe them anything. They were getting too close. I cut them off. So, you know, again, with age comes wisdom. And so we know better than to do that. So let me do a quick recap, and I promise I'll let you be. We talked about 10 things that we fear most in our lives. Number 1 was the unknown. Number 2, loss of oneself. Number 3, separation. Number 4 is pain. Number 5, rejection. Number 6, humiliation. Number 7, disappointment. Number 8, failure. Number 9, death. And last but not least, number 10 is falling in love. So I want you guys to lead happy, fulfilling lives. I really do. And I don't want you to allow these things to keep you from being the best you that you can be. Keep you from having the best life that you can have, because you deserve the best. I deserve the best. We deserve the best. So that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much to my newest subscribers. Thank you so much to those of you that continue to support me in all that I do. I love you all to the moon and back. And until next week, I want you to work on your fears. I want you to work on moving past those fears so you can have the best quality of life. Until next week, take care.